the big thing with coaching and, being the leader and the director is just knowing that, you're not for these kids, you're not just their coach, however you're carrying yourself, whatever you're saying, whatever your body language looks like they're watching you, and you have to kind of almost think of yourself as, the role model for them because they're eager to learn the sport and they're listening to every word you're saying. So why not take that with everything else about yourself in front of them, because they are watching. And if they'll see like, oh, my coach, like he'll or she does that. She slumps her shoulders when she makes mistakes, will turn and start yelling at herself and start yelling at her partner. So why can't I do that kind of thing?
Right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach Volleyball podcast. My name is Mark Burrick, and today we have a really cool guest. And I think a lot of you coaches, club directors, and people who are thinking about starting your own beach volleyball club are really going to love what we're going to talk about. Because our guest today, Heidi Lynn Illustre-Boatright, she just started her first juniors beach volleyball club. So she had what some of you might not have when you're starting a club, but she had a big audience to start because Synergy is also a really strong and well-run indoor volleyball club. So she had the audience, but they wanted to add a beach volleyball club. So if you are interested or thinking about starting a club, or you just want to hear about somebody else's experience in having that club built, what they're looking for, how they're running the business and sign up and coaching side of it, this episode is going to be great for you. So we're going to get started in just a minute. I just want to make a few announcements. Remember, our camps are rocking and rolling. October, November, December, January, February. We are also scheduling all of our clinic weekends for the winter of 2022 and the spring of 2023. So if you want to bring us to your facility, club, or even your backyard, head on over to betteratbeach.com/clinics. If you want to spend 7 days with us at a resort, playing volleyball all day long, having fun, learning, partying, meeting new friends, and connecting with people around the world, then you want to head over to betteratbeach.com/camps. If you love this episode, when we're done, go ahead and like it, give it a rating, share it with somebody who you're thinking about starting that club with or who you know is in the same situation. And if you want a free drill book, we have a free beach volleyball drill book. It's our 36 favorite drills. Okay. And you're going to go to betterbeach.com/free beach volleyball drill book. Okay. Free beach volleyball drill book. And you can find that and get our 36 favorite drills. That's it. We hope you enjoy that. All those links are going to be included in the show notes. So without further ado, Heidi, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
What did you do today?
Oh,
What was your day like today? It's 11 a.m.
I woke up pretty early, riser, and try to get some quiet time before my kids wake up. We do homeschool, so before the hustle and bustle of things, I like to get my quiet time in, get my peace and quiet while I drink my coffee. It just consisted of feeding the kids. My son had an online class, a math class, and then just doing odds and ends and getting ready for the school year. We actually haven't officially started school. We don't start school till next week, but the online classes for my son has started. So just trying to gear up and get ready for the school year. And then also we have our fall beach program registering going. So I'm trying to get all that registration going and getting ready for this Sunday's practice.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're full-time mom, full-time teacher, and now a full-time beach volleyball club director. That's I I don't know how crazy you might be trying to wake up early to get some time before that, but I'm now more than ever I'm actually embracing exactly that. I'm looking at my hours and I'm saying if I have 2 hours to myself in the morning, my whole day is just somehow better. I can attack things without any disturbances, without any worries, and I can actually get up and breathe. And by the time I get to my first activity, I feel like, okay, I'm not rushing anymore, and then all my activities feel better. So I'm actually
Exactly.
waking up way before I used to and way before I have to. And it's
Yeah.
just making all the tasks so much easier and more energetic, which is
Yep.
weird.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you, especially if, those of you that have kids. And like I said, it's just the hustle and bustle of in the mornings. And before that happens, you want to just get ready to conquer the world kind of attitude with that good cup of coffee and be ready to, all right, what do my kids need today?
Mhm.
And it definitely helps because those days when I do wake up late and I feel like I have not gotten that peace and quiet, it's just, okay, yes, I can do that. Yes. Okay. What do you need? What? It's just
Right? It's always everything feels back to back rushed when you don't have that little chunk of time before anything else.
just that little chunk of time makes a huge difference for sure.
Yeah. How early do you wake up before the rest of your household?
By like 5:30 at least. My husband wakes up way earlier. He wakes up at like 4:30. So he's up already. And then if I can go back to sleep when his alarm goes off, then I'll be up. I have my alarm set at 5:30.
And when do your kids wake up? Like when do your
We have a rule. They're usually early risers as well, but we have established a rule where if they are up before 7, they gotta stay in their room till 7, read a book or do something and let mom and dad have their coffee time before they are able to step out of that room.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like setting rules, setting boundaries, and then I mean, you're gonna be better parents for it because I don't know. For me, at any time I feel rushed, I feel like I just don't do a good job at whatever I'm doing.
yeah, I think with anything for sure, and it's just high stress, and then that energy rubs off on the kids, and then it's just chaos.
Yeah. I like your coffee time, and it's funny because maybe right now, so my brother just moved out to Hawaii. He was a
Okay.
fireman for 20 years in New York City, and him and his wife started a coffee company, a coffee roasting company. So they roast their own coffee in Hawaii, and they have me. I signed up. I pay full price. I'm like, it's my brother. Of course, I'm going to
Of
support his
course.
business. And so he sends me the exact amount of coffee that I need for my month every month. And he makes all different flavors and he roasts it, uses different beans. So he's like, tell me every time, tell me like what you like and what you don't like about the flavor. And he's now going to make for our company a volley brew or like a better at beach brew
No way,
with
that's awesome.
yeah, it's gonna have like higher caffeine content
Uh-huh.
so that for people who like want to fire themselves up before practice
Yeah,
or before a performance, it's gonna be centered around that and it's gonna have a little bit of a lighter flavor because most people are beachy.
yeah.
So kind of excited about that. And if anybody wants fantastic coffee, it doesn't support me, but it supports my brother and he's a great guy. He's a hero. He was at 9/11. He's a firefighter. It's a great company and he'll treat you right. So if you want to check it out, and get coffee at your doorstep, go to traditioncoffeeroasters.com.
What island are they on?
They're on Oahu. They're I think in Kailua. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
They loved that move. They're
I bet.
so happy
I'm
out
from
there.
New York to Hawaii. It's just it's a big just a lifestyle, right? Lifestyle change.
Yeah. You legitimately feel like you're in Jurassic Park. Like just driving on the Hawaii or on the highway. You're just like, what the heck
Yeah.
is going on?
I mean, that's where they filmed it, so
Yeah.
yeah, out there.
So you wake up about an hour and a half, right? Before your kids, you collect your
Yeah.
mind. Do you do any business or tasks for the club during that time, or is that just a time literally for you to sit and inhale and exhale?
No, both. Inhale and exhale, and if there are emails and, like you said, tasks or things I need to get done for the business, yes, those are usually the times that I will tackle them. But then obviously throughout the day, like I'll get replies or things like that from the people who aren't up yet. So during the day, I'm still tackling all that as well. But from that morning, I like to get as much as I can done to be able to stay focused on my kids for their homeschooling time and then get back to it a little bit maybe in the evening.
I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to the very beginning of Synergy and their decision to start a beach club because I know that there's so many. I have friends in Long Island, and all of a sudden, I moved out to California to pursue beach full time, and I just started seeing little beach volleyball clubs pop up piece by piece, and some of them had similar to I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong to what you had, where some clubs started on their own, but some
Right.
clubs started with a built-in volleyball audience from indoor. and they
Mhm.
felt like they were losing players to beach volleyball clubs, and they're like, "Hey, we coach volleyball. We should keep them." But then you get a lot of indoor coaches attempting to teach beach
Mhm.
volleyball, and
Right.
hey, I'm all for going for it,
Exactly.
and saying, "You know what? If the kids are on the beach and they're touching a ball, it's gonna be good for them." But at some point, you have to bring in some coach or beach volleyball expert to get those coaches working, because some of the things that I see being taught, I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna get annihilated when you go to California and Florida."
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, just from the Northern California to the Southern California caliber of beach volleyball is a big difference already.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. With Synergy, I did have the audience already, and I was lucky enough there was a big merge. There was Moxie Beach out here who was run by Kevin McCulloch, and
Oh, Kevin.
yeah,
I
and
got I gotta get him on the podcast. We
exactly,
battled.
and
We
his wife.
battled. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And Allie, yep.
And Ali, so they made a big move, and so he was looking to merge Moxie Beach with Synergy, and then he found out that I was in the area, and so he's like, "Hey, Heidi, this is what I'm doing. I need someone to take over Moxie Beach, blah blah blah." And we decided to do that. So we merged Moxie Beach with Synergy,
Well,
and
how are you what was your role with Synergy at that time?
I was not in any role with Synergy at all. It
So
was
Kevin just wanted you to take over his beach club, or he
as
wanted you to merge it with something?
Well, he was planning to merge it already
Okay.
with Synergy, and they were all just they needed a beach director, beach volleyball coach, and then he heard that that's when he heard that I was in the area, and he hit me up, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do this. That's awesome." And, Synergy Forces is a big indoor program out in Sacramento. And like I said, I already had the audience and just lucky enough to have all the admin and the people behind the scenes to do all that. So all the numbers and all that stuff is really worked with them. They're doing that where I'm doing all the coaching and giving them tips or giving them things like, this is how beaches run, this is how things work on the beach rather than the indoor, and trying to differentiate it for them. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Okay, so Kevin's got a beach club. Synergy's got Moxie. Synergy has an indoor club. He's planning on merging Moxie into there, but Kevin had to move away. Is that right? And so he wanted somebody to take his program over as it merged in. Like he needed a caretaker for the girls that he built up. Is
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah,
of
you don't wanna you get so attached to your players, you don't wanna leave them hanging, and you wanna leave them with another person who that he knows that he can rely on and knows the game, and so, luckily, that was me that he, contacted, and for the most part, we do have a lot of, some Moxie girls, and then now it's becoming a lot of other players transitioning from indoor or even trying it out, trying the beach game, and because it's such a new program, and like I said, Synergy Force is all indoor. So we had a lot of summer clinics. So there were a lot of indoor players trying out for the beach, right? Figuring out, okay, is this something that I like? Or it was a lot of indoor players in the beginning. And
okay?
so now, as we are transitioning into our fall program, it's still a little bit of indoor, but more of the more experienced beach players. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Synergy, does it have its own building, its own facility as far as an indoor, or is it one of those clubs
Yeah.
that kind of rents different gyms?
I know, it's called The Grounds, and it's out in Roseville, Sacramento, and honestly, I have not stepped foot in it yet, but, I mean, I hear it's spectacular. I hear it's huge, and a lot of the big tournaments are held there, and that's
Okay.
where all the practices are held as well.
What's the process of for people who are somewhere, anywhere, and they want to start a club, but they're like, man, I like beach volleyball, but there's only one court there in that park. There's that one court that like old Mr. Jones let us use in his backyard.
Yeah.
Where are you guys practicing with your
So
club?
for the summer, we were over at Sierra College,
Okay.
who they have 4 courts, and they have, a beach volleyball program as well, but now because of fall, they'll be using it, and so now we are transferred over to a place called Harry Crab Park, which has 4 courts available as well, and I know there are a few other clubs out there that use that park, and
Mhm.
so it's just trying to find time and reserve the courts and making sure we have them for the sessions.
Okay. Did you land on those? Were you already using those, or did you have to contact the college and say, "Hey, we'd like to rent this," and then contact what I guess like the city parks department
Yeah.
and say, "We'd like to rent this"?
Yeah, and I believe Synergy has used Sierra College courts, and Harry Crab and Kevin as well has used them. So I had that network where they already knew Synergy and Kevin and think to help with that process.
Okay. So you don't have your own built home, but
Mhm.
you have the places
That
where
would
you
be nice.
train,
No.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that
would
would that would be great, right?
be really nice. But then I don't know. I think the finances end up going heavily towards, you can choose to be a juniors club, but when you go for like adult fours and sixes leagues, there's a lot of opportunity there.
I
And
agree.
uh,
So many. There's so many. I mean, I see that a lot, especially out in Texas and other states that how they run these beach facilities, beach volleyball court facilities, and all these leagues that they run. I'm like, man, that sounds so fun.
so fun in Salt
So
Lake City, the sandbar there.
yeah,
I mean, it's every night. There's hundreds of people in their facility, and it's just four sixes, and they even still run twos, which to me, I mean, for beach volleyball, makes sense.
right,
Please keep doing that. But like financially, you're thinking like, well, I could get 4 or 5 people per
right,
team, or I could get 6 to 8 people per team.
right.
So might make more sense there. But these are all lessons and conversations that I have to have because I'm planning on building my own facility in Chattanooga. So I'm looking forward
Ooh,
that. Yeah, they don't have a facility there. They have like a hungry outdoor crowd. So I've seen a lot of beach volleyball facilities around the world. I've seen the ones that are really successful. I see the ones that struggle, and I know the differences. I'm looking forward to starting that next chapter.
that's amazing. Isn't Chattanooga the school out there? Do they not have a facility out there?
They
They
do.
do.
It's
Okay.
cool. But no,
Yeah.
I'm all about this is gonna
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
I'm all about control. Uh, so yeah, I'm started my own company because I'm not very good at answering to too many people. Ugh.
That's why most people do it, right?
Yeah.
With their own company. That's awesome. Well, that's
Um,
exciting.
all right. So if you were to start that from scratch, then I guess you would. What do you have to do? You have to look up the Parks Department permitting section and then say, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and then they need insurance, right? They need to know that you're a business.
Yeah,
Something.
business, they gotta go through all the insurance and then just liabilities and all that stuff, waivers
Mhm.
for parents and players and all that stuff, yeah. Same with the college and I guess anywhere that's not yours, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people who are considering starting a club, considering even a beach volleyball or indoor, they're probably thinking, "Well, I don't have courts," right? That's gotta go through so many people's minds, and I've seen really successful clubs in Oslo, like Oslo Volley in
Mhm.
Norway. This is a pro team that I played for, so we had like our big gym. It was rented from a giant school, and then all of the like adult rec and juniors clubs we were renting from churches, schools, calling everybody, and it was all different. It's not easy because you're always practicing, like you're practicing downtown on Tuesday and you're practicing like north of the city on Thursday. But hey, if you can find a place to rent, then there you go. You get to do what you want to do. And then if you build it up and you find that it's successful, all right, now let's get proof of concept. And then if you want to get your own facility, go ahead.
Exactly, yeah. I guess that's the challenge, right, is finding that consistent, court rental and or even the rental fees that will work for your budget that you're trying to do, right? Because sometimes, depending on the court rental fees, it can go up and down on how many players you're gonna have or what you're charging and all that.
Okay, so you have an indoor club, and now the powerful indoor club is starting a beach club or taking over a beach club. How much friction is there? Because I bet there are indoor coaches that love beach and they're like, yes, I coach indoor, but oh my God, if I could just coach, like start the beach volleyball program. But how do I approach the director? How do I approach the owner and say that I want to take a bunch of the girls from indoor, and maybe they get too interested in beach and they lose interest in indoor. What does that process go like? How are you getting along with, I guess I'll say, the indoor side of the club?
Well, well, that's a funny question. I feel like I am in good, standings with them so far, just because it is still brand new,
Okay.
right? And the players that I do have are still playing indoor. I don't have fully committed just beach players yet.
Okay, so you
Um,
haven't stolen any
I have not.
like full out yet.
No, not yet, and but I do have players who, have expressed that I'm not playing indoor or, I wanna go beach full time, and so it'll come, I'm sure,
Mhm.
it'll come, and it's just I mean, I would think as a coach, it would suck to lose, like, a really good player, on your team, but at the same time, as a coach, you gotta feel, "Okay, I gotta do what they think is best for them." If that makes them happy, then go for it. I think as long as the coach is just, looking out for the players and making sure the players are making the right decision for themselves and are genuinely happy for what the players are doing, then it shouldn't cause too much friction.
Yeah, it's
So hard.
that's a tough question because you can care for an athlete or a young person in a couple different ways, right? You can care for them in saying, "Hey, they have a real shot in X sport and they're progressing this way."
Right.
And then they express for a little bit, maybe quickly, maybe all at once or maybe gradually that they're falling in love with another sport. And then you can support them in two ways. One of them is supporting them and saying like, "Hey, I think I know what's best for you. Like I can see it objectively. Here it is.
Right.
You want to stick with indoor. Trust me, you got a real shot here and beach is brand new and there's a
Yeah.
lot of competition coming about." Or you can support them in what they like, what they're enjoying, what in that moment is going to make them happier. But you have to know as a parent that sometimes that temporary happiness is not really what's best or what they really think it's going to be.
Right. It's a hard jump, and in the past, not with this club, but in the past, the older players, they played club for so long and they've put in so much time into club, and parents put in so much money for indoor club, and then come their junior year, they fall in love with beach, and they want to stop playing indoor, and as a parent, you're like, wait, what? With all this time and money that we put into indoor club, like what are we going to do and all this, and it is hard, and I think in my experience, uh, seeing the parents and the players how they communicate is just, okay, well, what opportunities do you have right now for indoor, what opportunities do you have for on the beach, and what opportunities might come up, on the beach if we do pursue this, and is it what you want? Right? As far as, say, they want to play for a school, is it the schools that you want to play for? Is it beach that you just want to do?
Mm.
And I think it's just a lot of communication and a lot of figuring out for the young, and of course, you want to make sure that it's the athlete's choice, right? And it's their choice, and it's just because once they choose that, then that's their motivation, and they push themselves on the beach or they'll push themselves in the indoor.
And of course, there's some sway. I mean, I don't know how people are gonna react to this mindset, but you can guide them to a choice that becomes theirs. And that happens every day.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're saying like, it would be nice. I didn't think about what you just said, where you can diagram and say, okay, here's what you want to go to school for.
Mhm.
Right, like your education, and here are the locations or the schools
Mhm.
that you think you can get into and you want to go to. So let's start writing down, who's got indoor, who's
Yeah,
got beach, at what level, does that match your level? And then say, look, like you want to go to school for engineering and none of those schools have a
yeah,
beach program.
exactly,
So do you want to
exactly.
play or what?
Because beach volleyball is such a really growing at a rapid pace, there's so much more colleges now that starting their new program, but are cross-training, so are looking for indoor and beach players.
Mm.
So, okay, so maybe that's something you can do too. Maybe you can play both in this college, and there's so many avenues, I feel like, because beach volleyball has opened up that these girls have opportunities now, more opportunities to take.
It's interesting to think about beach volleyball in college because I started playing beach volleyball in college, but completely under my own control. There was no team, there was no uniforms, there was no anything, right? Like every weekend, at least spring, summer, fall, you have the ability to play a tournament on your own.
Mhm.
you can find a coach, but then you could say that about any sport, right? You could say, dude, you could go play baseball anytime you want. There's an old man softball league, you know, like down, like you don't need to play in college, but there is some, I don't know, honor, pride, appreciation that comes with representing your school and being a part of that program.
Oh, totally. Totally, absolutely. Yeah, I played for UH, University of Hawaii indoor. They didn't have a beach program when I played, and I can just if there was a beach program then, God, that would be amazing. I'm still prideful of the bows and represent the bows all the time. So,
And you
yeah,
feel connected to, even to the current team. You're like,
oh,
I'm connected to that. That's kind of like my legacy. Even if you haven't met anyone on the current team, it's important.
absolutely.
Okay, so you haven't you haven't stolen any
Have not yet,
players yet. So you haven't yet made any of the coaches mad. Maybe now they're just worried.
probably.
Yeah, I know these are tough questions. They're gonna come up, and this
They
is
will come up.
this is a conversation that I hear a lot from indoor clubs. Like none of my kids want to play indoor anymore,
Yeah.
or of course, and we can get into this. Oh, they're gonna play beach and they're gonna get terrible habits.
No.
Okay, so you're on my side.
Yeah.
It's like, you mean they're gonna get 14 times as many touches on volleyball and I actually learn how to read and move more athletically and do all of the skills at once? Oh, you're worried about their hands being a split second slower than an indoors hands.
Oh,
That's what
you're
you're
worried.
actually worried about.
Or you're worried that they'll not overhand serve receive because they, don't do that on the beach. Like, man,
And what's the
it's
problem
crazy.
with that anyway? Like
It's so
if you
crazy.
can pass nails with your
Yeah,
platform full time, why do you even need overhand serving in indoor?
I know. Oh, I'm so glad you're on the same page. But yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how some indoor coaches can think like that. But I mean, in every aspect of the game, your court awareness, your ball control, your speed, your jump, and it's just, it's crazy. It will just put you up in a level on that indoor game so much.
And think about the strength, the mental and emotional strength that they're going to develop because they now can be cued on. They can be targeted for an
Mhm.
entire match and receive every ball. And they have to learn how to survive that emotionally and psychologically. You can't get subbed out.
Nope.
So you can't be like, oh, thank you, coach, for saving me because that girl was targeting me. You can't be like rotated out of a serve receive. They
Yeah.
can't set anybody else. To
Yep.
me, there's a huge strength building, and it doesn't build confidence in that moment, but it teaches you
It,
adversity when
it,
you're being targeted, and you still got to sit there and fight through it.
yeah, exactly. And it's still got to fight through it and figuring it out for yourself. Like, okay, you may not fight through it that game. You may suck the entire game, right? But then it's figuring out for yourself, okay, how do I get myself out of this rut? What do I need to do? And then the next game, like you'll be able to figure out little things that'll help you and maybe you won't be in that rut for so long, you know what I mean? And or you can get yourself out of that rut way quicker than you did before. And it's knowing yourself, being more self-aware and what you can do for yourself to help you get out of that. And I think it's definitely such a big character building for the players. And I think it's huge. And being advocates for yourself on the court, instead of looking at your coach or something, or.
It's interesting because you can parent in a couple of ways. You can coach in a couple of ways where you're constantly trying to protect, protect, protect. But I don't know. When I'm a parent, I hope I let my kids struggle a lot.
I know.
I want to see them go through stuff. I want to see them not be able to untie a knot and just sit there and watch, without untying a knot for them. Like, hey, you want to play with that? You got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that has a lot to do with not just volleyball, like you said, just in life in general. There's kids are going to struggle with a lot of things, and as a parent, it's you got to find that balance on when you do step in and when you have to step back and let them figure it out.
What was the hardest part of your first year running a club director? What were the things that you really want to get rid of, or mistakes that you made, or just was super difficult, but you know that that's going to exist forever?
Yeah, I think for this year for our summer clinics, I mean, we had numbers and we had coaches but we did not have enough beach coaches. You know what I mean? So there were some synergy indoor coaches that wanted to help and learn the beach volleyball game and help coach. And I did not give enough time to those coaches
Mm,
and instructing and making sure that they're using the same lingo or the same just the same techniques that are taught on the beach versus indoor, because there were just different conflicts on things that they were saying, or where I would have to step in and kind of steer it the other way. And I think I would, if I had indoor coaches come again, then I would do just a day with them or two on clinics, like a
mm.
coaching clinic with them for sure.
We spend a lot of time with that with coaches because seen a lot of clubs, seen a lot of the way people operate, coached in a
Yeah.
lot of clubs and teams, and I 100% know that a major difference in successful clubs and not so successful clubs is the fact that they actually have one person whose job it is to create the curriculum and ensure
Mhm.
that people are sticking to that.
Yeah.
Because some of the clubs that I see just kind of flounder along. One year they'll be successful, one year they're not.
Right.
Is all of the coaches have completely different practice plans, are given completely different keys year
Mhm.
to year. Their kids like learn a big chunk from one coach, and then the next year they go to a different coach in the same club, and they're learning a completely different set of words, vocabulary, everything. So there's no actual progressive step by step learning.
Mhm.
If you learn something, then you learn something new, and you have to become accustomed to that. What we do at Better Beast is we say like, hey, here's what you do for the first 25 minutes of your practice. It's laid out. It's from handshakes and high fives to first names to pairing a new player with an experienced player, turning on the radio. We have a very specific playlist.
Yeah.
Like we have a process that says this is what we're doing, and then we give them the practice plans within those practice plans, making sure that they know the specific words and terms, because then they actually have written assessments on them, right? So I say, hey, coach, if a player is with you for 2 months and they're in the classes and they can't pass our level 3 assessment, that's on you. That's not on them, because it means
Right.
you're not repeating this stuff enough.
Yeah.
But that was a big friction point in the beginning, because you're taking people who already have experience coaching and playing, and they
Mhm.
have their own vocabulary.
Yeah.
To me, as the boss, as the director, and you can riff on this for a while. As the director, it's your job to make sure that everybody's on your page or the
Exactly.
club's page, not doing their own thing and going rogue.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think, I had the practice plans and things laid out for them. And I think also it's hard to find, someone who's similar with your coaching style as well. You know, you can't, everyone has different ways of, I don't know, I guess coaching kids,
Personalities.
personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm huge on making sure the kids that are gaining confidence.
Mm.
That's my main thing, is make sure that we're not saying or doing things that are making them feel dumb or are making them have any sort of self-doubt. And it's just the constant positive talk, positive reinforcements. And it's the give them a positive feedback, and then give that correction. Make sure you're giving them, hey, you're doing this really well, but let's see if we can try it this way. And it's just the way you talk to them, how you word things can really get perceived.
I mean, it's funny to say that like so many people are so self-unaware. Like you might think that you're coming off as funny when a lot of other people just look at it as snide. Like yes, your buddies have laughed at you for the last 20 years, but then everybody new or even young people are like,
Yeah,
so it's important for somebody. You have to approach this in a nicer way. You have to
right.
be either a little bit more joking, way less sarcastic. I think sarcasm, I struggled in having to get rid of that. Being from New York, it was my first language, but as a coach, near impossible. You see the immediate shutdown, and if you're not aware of what somebody looks like after you say something, it doesn't go. If
It's
they
real
roll their eyes and
time.
they turn. So
I agree. It's I think for me, the big thing with coaching and, being the leader and the director is just knowing that, you're not for these kids, you're not just their coach, however you're carrying yourself, whatever you're saying, whatever your body language looks like they're watching you, and you have to kind of almost think of yourself as, the role model for them because they're eager to learn the sport and they're listening to every word you're saying. So why not take that with everything else about yourself in
Mm.
front of them, because they are watching. And if they'll see like, oh, my coach, like he'll or she does that. She slumps her shoulders when she makes mistakes, will turn and start yelling at herself and start yelling at her partner. So why can't I do that kind of thing,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they're monkey see, monkey do for sure.
Yeah.
I also think that that's crucial in development. We say the coach is the weather on the court. Like this can be a really rainy, cloudy, cold, crappy day
Mhm.
because you showed up with, straight lips and you didn't give high fives before the practice. You didn't make sure you knew everybody's first name. You didn't pair up the people who should be paired up, to keep that emotional balance on the court.
Mhm.
If that coach and I got that from Gold Medal Squared, like the coach creates the weather in the gym,
I like that. Yeah.
right? So
Definitely.
you have to know when you walk into the gym, your vibe is going to be injected immediately into the girl's vibe.
Yep. That will set the tone for sure. It will
Yeah.
definitely set the tone for that practice. Yeah.
And
Yep.
I used to get so mad at some of my players because I was like, why aren't they succeeding at this? I do an overcomplicated drill that was way beyond their comprehension in terms of rotations and failure. And I set like 100 in a row, like litmus test. And I was like, you're not getting it. Instead of, I picked the wrong drill.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong goal. I picked the wrong drill, and now like I've set them up to be failed to fail. So I've set them up
Mhm.
to be frustrated, and then I get frustrated because they're not succeeding, and then they're frustrated and they're not succeeding because they're frustrated, and that's a bad circle. We coach our coaches a lot to say, hey, when things aren't going right,
Change it up.
rotations aren't going right, you say timeout, not you guys aren't getting this.
Yeah.
Oof, forget that. That is our coaches get like two chances to say that, and then if we hear about it, it becomes a serious talk. But it's not you guys aren't getting this. You're just not getting it because then you give failure to everybody. It's timeout. I'd rather do something else. Everybody take water. Hey, I found something I'd rather work on.
Exactly.
And then you could flip it instead of saying you're not getting it. Now everybody feels like a jerk on the court, you know, and they're yelled at. And now you've quote unquote dumbed down a drill for them. And they know that
Mhm.
instead of, hey, oh, you know what? Sorry, guys, I'd rather do this. And
Mhm.
like, okay, coach is being crazy and flip floppy again. But
Exactly. Or even just admitting, that, I this drill, like, I didn't realize was too advanced or not even too advanced, just
ooh, I
yeah,
would
say
caution
that,
that
don't say advanced,
too.
don't say advanced. We just this drill isn't working right now, let's try this drill, and then we could try the drill a little bit later kinda thing, but, I mean, just you admitting your mistakes too in front of them is they'll get a kick out of that.
100%. And that allows them to call timeout and whatever problems they run into and be like, I might have chose the wrong thing, but it's okay because all I do is call timeout, restart it.
You learn from it, right? Yeah, exactly.
So do you think the answer, like if you could, if you had the infinite time, but you know that you have part-time coaches, do you create a 1 hour meeting a week? Do you create a 1 hour practice a week where you actually run your coaches through the drills and you have a coach, one of your student coaches or somebody who works for you be in charge of that? Or is it like 20-minute huddles before each practice day and say, this is what we're working on, this is the only thing you guys should comment on today because this is what we're working on. You shouldn't
Mhm.
have 90 different pieces of feedback. The whole gym should hear 3 pieces of feedback this entire day. What would be your favorite design for that? Or would it be like online courses? Like we send our courses to clubs and we say, this is how you coach in beach. What would your ideal if you could create it be?
I mean, ideally, meaning that I would be there, at least at infinite time, that I would be there for these practices and for the sessions is I would like to meet before, maybe the 20-minute, half an hour before the session, so it's fresh in their minds, and I'm there and just letting them know, hey, this is what I want to work on. This is what we're focusing on. These are the 3 things, and these are the goals that I want. And this is, the lingo that I want to use. And let's make sure that we're always smiling and that we're positive, and it's just super fresh in their mind before they get going and we start our session.
I like leaving a little time to say at our camps we do this a lot because we have like 10 coaches at our camps. So
Okay.
so I'll look at everybody and go, how do you coach this? And I'll pick out what I think would fit with our program,
Yeah.
or I'll get like some phrase from somebody. We had one of our coaches who said like the silliest thing for kids, but he used it for adults too. When you're serving, he said hamburger, no French fries. That's how he said don't hit the ball with your fingers when you're serving. And I was like, I've used that ever since. This has been 6 years of me using hamburger, no French fries, you know? And it's like, okay, like make sure your fingers aren't touching it because you see a lot of people spike and they try to
Yeah.
like grab it when they spike and there's no pop on it.
I'm going to start using that.
It's perfect, and if I'm not there at that practice and I'm not engaged and watching my coaches and how they teach, I don't pick up a really valuable tool, and I don't get to add that to our future book because
Yeah.
now that's written in all of our manuals. It's
Yeah.
like, this is a great way to explain this concept.
I know, infinite time, right? If we could just be there all the time, it would be great. And to have, I like that, asking the coaches, how would you teach this? What kind of lingo do you have, or what phrases do you use? And I will definitely use that. Right now, for the summer we had those coaches, and then now they are all off to colleges and playing. So they were young coaches. And so now for this fall program, it is just me running the program. So, and I mean, we're always looking for coaches. So anyone in the Sacramento area.
And in the Sacramento area, and if you're moving there and you want to coach some beach,
Yeah, beach, hit me up.
I like it.
Yep.
So do you think now, this is something that I had to learn, but do you think now that you're running and you're practicing, are you going to be writing down everything you say so that you can like hand somebody a book and say, this is how we coach this? Or are you going to rely on meetings or what?
For me, I already do that. I write things down. I have my, volleyball notebook, and I have a practice plan. I run drills. I have a book of drills that I can look and refer back to and
Cool.
see, what drills can work. And I think once we reach that where we do have coaches, and I think I would have that time before the practice and sit down with them and be like, okay, this is what our practice plan looks like, and use your tidbit. Okay, how would you coach this? What are some phrases, or what do you think? How would you make this drill any better? Or
Mm.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Like, hey, did you find a variation that you needed to do?
Yeah.
Um,
How do you modify
because it's
it?
completely wasn't working, or you had all the beginners, so you couldn't like really implement this. Okay, how did you modify it?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And you're constantly doing that, right? You can have your straight practice plan and might have not enough players, or might have the numbers, or the drill is not working. So you have to modify a lot and be super flexible with your practice plan.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think not enough coach. I've heard this from a number of people, and I used to think that I was that person too until I made myself start writing everything down. I used to think I can't replicate myself.
Right.
Like the way that I coach, even though people enjoy it, we're experiencing a lot of success and like reviews for because we're doing adult classes and private lessons, right? So our reviews are off the charts, but I can't explain to somebody how to take a drill that I had designed for intermediate players and then modify it when instead of 10, now I've got 7 players, 2 beginners who have never played, 1 intermediate, and 3 open players, and how I was able to challenge them all on the same court appropriately. Right? Like there's no way. I just figured it out. It's organic. It's
Yeah.
something that you need to do on your own.
Yeah.
And no, that can't be. I have to figure out a way to show how somebody can do it, because if I'm going to be a true leader or a mentor, right, I have to be able to explain this.
Yeah.
I can't just say just figure it out, because then you're not a quality mentor.
Yeah.
So a
True.
lot of what I did, I think I forced myself to write down, and then when I had a drill written and I didn't do it, I wrote down how and why I modified. Like,
Yeah.
okay, partnered beginner with advanced player for 5 minutes, but then made sure I was the one feeding the advanced player when they went. so that they felt challenged.
Yeah.
But the beginner is also doing that. And then the beginner gets to get coached from a better player and they feel good. There's been a lot of writing.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I like that too because I mean, like I said, throughout practice, you're constantly changing and being flexible. And like you said, if you have different levels on one court, and how do you cater to those levels? And like you said, maybe me just hitting to that one advanced player or something, and even just writing it down on how you did it, and for you to go back and look at that, I think it's huge.
If I died and I needed somebody to run the same practice,
Mhm.
how would I get them to do it?
How would
And you got to like write down so incredibly clear
you?
to be able to make it happen. And it costs extra time, but then the success of the club or the business, it depends on that. It depends
Mhm.
on repeatable systems, I
Right.
think.
It's the golden book.
Mhm. Hey, what's been the hardest part with parents? You don't have to give names or specific examples, but that's one of the reasons that I truly stay out of juniors coaching. I don't want to deal with overzealous parents and get three sets of emails. Now I have to talk to the kid, then I have to talk to mom, then I have to talk to dad,
Yeah.
right? And when I'm coaching adults, they make money. They say, "This is how I'm choosing to spend my money because this is what I love." Right? And then if they have a problem, they come to me. Great. There's no like, well, your daughter looked happy. I don't know why you're unhappy. You know, what's the toughest part about dealing with parents, and how do you handle those problems?
Parents, I think is a big for the juniors level, especially the indoor, right? There's a big difference with the indoor and the beach clubs. I think parents, when they transfer or they go to beach clubs or beach programs, for me, I just want to make sure that parents know that the culture between indoor and beach is completely different, right? And the beach culture is a lot more relaxed and way less intense. Parents, at tournaments, they can't be yelling at their kids on the sidelines, right? They can't. It's basically almost, I've heard one of my players describe it. It's almost describing it to her parent, like, "Mom, it's like watching a tennis match. Okay, when you watch me on a sand court, it's like a tennis match. You can't say anything." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good way to put it." Like the kids are just more, they are more out there to advocate for themselves rather than parents, yelling at the refs. That was in, that was out, or touch. How that indoor mentality can be. And I make sure to establish that with the parents first,
Okay.
and so far it's been pretty good. I've had great parents for this program, and they've respected that, and and they'll ask me questions here and there on rules and things like that, but it's for the most part the parents have been good to me.
Mhm.
But I suspect, the more I do, the longer I do this, there'll be a lot more questions, or just a lot more, why isn't my daughter, getting this or that? But the great thing about beach is that, you can't sub them out. So
Mhm.
there's no my daughter's not getting playing time, or my daughter got pulled out when she got made one mistake. Like, why did you do that? So
Yeah, but then it turns into, why is my daughter playing with that one? She should be playing with that
yeah.
one. And those conversations, they're not easy. You can't just say like, well, it's because when I watch your kid play, she sucks, and that one's really good, and the player she is with is really good.
Yeah.
She needs to show me that she's winning, that she has stats, that she has energy, that she makes the person next to her better, and that's when I'll do. And it's, if you could like write down all those things, like
You can, right? I
these are what I take into account when I select partners.
Yeah, and you almost have to. I mean, so far I've had parents ask me, they want to play with their friends. Can they just play with their friends these tournaments? And the program that we're running for the fall is that I have a set group of girls, and I will put them in teams, and we have 3 set tournaments that we will play throughout the program, and I will select the teams for them, who to, the
Okay.
girl partner that they will
So
play.
you have 100% control over who your kids play with, how
Yes,
they partner. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
yes, and and I already have the questions from the parents. Well, she wants to play with her friends. Is she going to be able to play with her friend? And is she going to be able to play with her? She vibes really well with them. And, and I've answered, it's great. And possibly they can play together. I have to see how they look at practice, if they gel well together, how their chemistry is, how they complement each other. Maybe there might be another player on the team that will complement better, and it's also, we want to make sure that she is able to play with multiple partners and not just one person, because that's going to be huge. So far, that's the questions I've come up with, and I know it's going to come. A lot more will come.
I forget which one. I forget if it was Dane, Brock, shoot, one of the big coaches that we had on the podcast. He said the problem is we get to see these juniors who have played literally with the same player
Yeah.
for her entire 4 years of high school, and we take notes on that. We say, you know what? We've only seen her play with this person. We have no idea how she's going to act with another player.
Right.
So coaches, even though, okay, yeah, like maybe you're winning and you're performing well, they actually want to see you play well with like their clips or their videos. They want to see you play with different players,
Right.
because that's what a college program is.
Mhm.
Now you've got what, 12 to 18 players that
Mhm.
they have to mix you in somewhere. And if you've only learned to deal with one single personality for your entire volleyball career, you are not available for the next person.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You got to learn how to, play with different players and know those personalities and how to deal with them. And all that comes with yourself too, right? The body language that you have towards your partner, and just, it's so much, it's just a lot. It's so much more than having to be able to play with multiple partners. I mean, because once you're in college, you really don't have a say. Like, I want to play with this person, and coaches me like, okay, I think you and you are going to be paired up on this threes team. This is who you're going to play with. And you just got to say, okay. And you got to do your job and play and win in the threes team.
Tell you what, a lot on the AVP, you don't have control over who you play with. Sometimes it just comes down to points. Sometimes you beg all the 6 9ers to be like, hey, can I play with you? And they all say no. And then you're like, okay, where do we go from here? Even federations, there are some national federations that they have full control over who their players play with. USA still lets us do our thing, and you sign up with who you sign up with.
Right.
But there are even national federations that say, like, no, I don't care. You're playing with them, and that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I got lucky. I played for the Philippines, and I played with a partner who played on the AVP as well, and we got along great. And that was a big plus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, because you might have been punching somebody in the chest for 4 years and they love it and fire them up, and then the next person just absolutely loathes physical contact, you know so it's like, why are you so angry, and then like the way you've trained yourself to fire somebody up for 4 years is now completely shutting your partner off, and
Yeah,
now you've got to go through that personal growth all over again.
exactly. Yep. Been there. Yep.
Heidi, we only have a couple minutes left, but what I really want to ask is if you have any key pieces of advice or support for somebody who is starting their beach volleyball club, or is just in a rut with theirs, and they don't quite know how to fix it, from a coaching situation to parents to finding course, all the problems that come with a beach program. Do you have any advice for the ones that are struggling or hesitating to start, or getting started and just overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think it's a process. It takes patience. You can't expect it to just blow up right away or have 20 players right away in your club. Know that start off small first, right? Start off small, establish that little core group, and then that core group, I mean, will talk and have social media, do your social media, and word will get out. And
You think social media is important?
I do. I do.
Okay.
In this day and age, yes.
Okay.
I do. I think a lot of
What type of stuff do you want to show? Like, if somebody has, they're on Instagram, they can take a picture and a video. What should or could they show that's going to maybe generate more players next year?
Maybe just, showing yourself coaching, the camaraderie maybe that you have with the girls, maybe the atmosphere that you're holding, maybe the fun that you're holding at the practices, something that just shows, the part that you want to sell about your club,
Mm.
that sets you apart from other clubs, right?
Okay, so if you're like the grind work club, you take a video of the girls like doing sprints and bent over and tired with some inspirational music, like motivational
Yeah,
music. If
yeah.
you're the friendly environment, you show some of the fun like Princess Hunter Bear games before
Mhm.
the because
Exactly.
that's a bit right. You're gonna attract the people that you're showing that environment. You're gonna attract the people
Mhm.
who want to be in that environment. For
Exactly.
me, when my volleyball coach in high school was playing music in the gym,
Yeah.
no other sports coach had music anywhere, and I was like, "That's cool," like to practice with my beats on, like let's go. And that
Even
was
a
crazy because that was a big part of me actually playing volleyball was just the fact that there was a radio in a practice, which is wild to think of
which is
now.
wild because what coach wants to yell over like music, but still it's what it is. It's we do that in the beach. I think most beach programs now all have the music, and it's just the different energy that it brings from the indoor to the beach, and what kind of vibe or energy you're bringing to your program,
I'll add on to that little social media from the business stuff that I've learned. Always somehow invite somebody to contact you. If you want to join the club, if you have questions about our trainings, if
Mhm.
you want to, come and see a practice, DM me. Click this link where it'll, schedule an appointment. Something that yes, it shows, but people in social media they don't understand this enough. You have to invite somebody to talk to you, almost like grab their hand and say,
Hmm.
here is your phone and
Yeah.
here is how you dial the phone to get my number.
Yeah.
um, but those calls that say, we're looking for more players, we need 8 more girls,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what, maybe we'll try it out. I think that call to action becomes important, especially on the social media stuff. So show the things that you want to show. I absolutely love that. Right, show the
Mhm.
parts of you that you want to show, and the
Yeah.
people that you want to attract will be attracted to that. And then from my side, I'm going to say somewhere on that post or in the caption and on your profile, always say DM us, message us, call us for X.
Yeah, I like that. And then make it super user friendly where they can just click and then they're there. You know what I mean? And not a lot of navigating through things, I
Yeah.
think helps.
Right. Even if it's like a link that the page takes you to just a page that
Yes.
says call or text us, and there's no buttons or anything.
Buttons.
It's
Yeah.
just like the big phone number that says call or text me. My
Yeah.
name's Heidi. I'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah. I think that's huge. Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure. This is awesome.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your experience with all of us and everybody. And it's cool to see that you're, whew, I mean, full-time teacher, full-time mom, and full-time club director. That's nuts. I think we're of the same heart. You sound like a workhorse.
Well, it's good work, It's it's fun for me, and we coach because we love it. So, right?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Heidi.
Mark, thanks for
Great
having
talk. How does somebody get in touch with you? If they're in the Sacramento area, they want to coach, maybe they want to come run a clinic for your club. Nudge, nudge, Better at Beach.
me.
How would they get in touch with you?
Well, through social media, we have our social media page, which is Synergy Beach. And then we have Synergy Force Volleyball Club, our website, which you can find our website, our Synergy Beach website on there as well. And then all my contacts on there on Instagram and on the website.
Amazing. Are you okay with people reaching out to you for maybe like advice if they have a question on running a club or what it is?
Absolutely. Advice on what you're going to wear today? Sure. Blue or red? Okay.
I love it. Love it. Here to serve, here to help.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. All right, Heidi. Hey, thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Thank
And good luck this year. Good luck with all the fall activities, and then building it bigger and better next year. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
that's the goal. Grow the game, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
All right, Heidi. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Man, that was a cool interview. We don't get a lot of club directors that we get to really talk with about how they're building, the problems that they're experiencing, and the way that we're taking our company is we want to be able to help directors and coaches design the training program and the protocols for their coaches and their teams. We have a very thick process where we have our practice plans completely written out. We have our modifications all written out. If you guys are interested in looking at all of our practice plans, it's not all of them, but we have 53 full beach volleyball practice plans, and 20 of them are equipped with videos. So you can actually see the drill and then do it. You can bring your phone to the gym, watch a beach volleyball drill, and then say, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. Line it up like this. If you want to download that, it's betteratbeach.com/practice plans. If you want to check out our practice plans, be happy to do that for you. But we're really looking to work with some beach volleyball clubs. We'd love to share what we've learned over a lifetime of coaching and creating businesses and creating clubs and a healthy staff of coaches. We have manuals, we have processes, we have, from minute zero until 2.5 hours in, we have literally every minute planned out and what our coaches should be saying, doing. So if you're interested in having us maybe consult or mentor you or your club, I would love to work with you and help you make being a club director or coach easier, and help you be more efficient and share some of the things that we've learned along the way. So reach out. My Instagram's Mark Burek, and we can share with you all of our teaching tools, as well as our practice plans, as well as our coaching manuals. And even if you want to have, coach meetings with us on Zoom or something where we can get to talk through that with your entire staff as a consultant, would love to do that. I really enjoyed Heidi, and I think you guys did too. She was so easy to talk to, and she's got good head on her shoulders, waking up early so that you're not rushed, setting the weather on your court. I'm kind of on the lookout for Synergy Beach now, and I think she's going to have a really good club. She's paying attention. So if you guys are in the Sacramento area, she said, go ahead and reach out to her. Go get a beach volleyball coaching job. Why not? And see if you can help her. If you're interested in a little bit of extra social media tips, just let me know. Shoot me a message. And we've done a pretty good job with our social media and learned some things along the way, and happy to share that advice too. This is a great talk. Guys, thanks for stopping by the podcast. Thank you for your attention. And if you ever need anything, we're here. You can email support@betteratbeach.com, or you can shoot me a DM at Mark Burek, and I'll be happy to hear from you. That's all from me. It's all from Better at Beach. We'll see you on the sand.